Welcome to Easy Style with Sami. I'm your host, Sami Bedell-Mulhern. Each episode, I invite a friend, family member, colleague, or just someone I've met on this journey called life to come and share their personal style and approach to business, parenting, life, and everything in between. You'll hear motivational and inspirational stories that will help you refine and build your own personal style. Remember, style is easy when it comes from within. So today I'm recording a solo episode, which is not really normal for this podcast, but there's just been a lot of things that have kind of been going on in the last few months as I have been planning for 2025, things that have been kind of going on with my family, kind of why I set up my business the way that it is and kind of where I'm going. Now, I know the election just happened, so that is very top of mind for a lot of us. This is not going to be a political conversation, so don't you worry about that. But it is affecting kind of how we're deciding how we show up and relationships and all of the things, unfortunately. I'm not going to dive deep into that. And I promise you that this journey that I've been on started months ago. I started this business of mine in 2017, my marketing business, consulting with clients, supporting them in their websites and marketing efforts, trying to get more customers, get more reach, get more revenue, more donations, all of the things. And then a few years later, maybe almost 3 years later, started Color Street because I, again, wanted to kind of diversify my income streams. And from that started Easy Style with Sami, the blog and the podcast, just because I love kind of that connection and that piece. And so as I was going into this year, or going into planning for 2025 and kind of figuring everything out, I kind of realized that I've been going on this path and started everything for very specific reasons. And then the day-to-day life just gets going. And all of a sudden you're doing all the to-dos and you're focusing and you kind of lose sight of, is this thing that I'm doing going to get me to where I wanted to go and what I wanted for myself, personally, professionally, with my family? Am I overcommitted? Am I doing the things that are leading to the reasons for why we are doing all of this in the first place? And so that's kind of the journey that I've been on, is really rethinking. Like, things have been great and I've been having fun and, doing all the things. Sometimes I'm overextended, sometimes I'm not. But so I just kind of wanted to share this process that I'm going through with you, because part of it is also how we show up, how we choose to be vulnerable. And that's really what this podcast is for me in general, is sharing the stories of amazing people who I've connected with and sharing kind of how they've moved through certain elements of their life, how they continue to move through it, how they share their stories, and how they're growing and building in a particular area or overall. And so I thought, if I'm going to ask my guests to come on and do that, then maybe I should do something similar as well. And I've done it a little bit here and there, but it just now seemed like the right time to kind of have this conversation, to kind of share where we're at and where we're going, what I'm excited about, what I'm working towards, what I might even let go of. So I hope that you'll just kind of stick with me for this episode. I really don't enjoy recording solo episodes as much because I feel like I'm rambling and I love just kind of the back and forth conversation. So this will probably be a shorter episode, but it's also something that allows me to be accountable to myself, because I can now share that information. It's out there in the universe. Now, granted, this podcast does not have thousands or hundreds of thousands of listeners. I do it because I love it and I love sharing stories and having conversation. But by sharing what I'm kind of working through and how I am going to show up next year holds me accountable to you also and to myself, because now it's not just something that's swirling around in my head. And I think that that's so important. It's so important to put your intentions out there, to share them with someone else, because it makes it easier and more likely that you're going to do it yourself. And this is not just work. What I love about the opportunity in my job is that I can really think holistically about me as a complete human. And that's kind of where this story begins. So every year I join Amber McHugh in her Planathon. I shared that with you all in my emails on social media, so you've probably heard of it before. And really, it's meant to help entrepreneurs and business owners, and mostly women, who want to put their plans together for the upcoming year. Like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do in our business next year? And I do love her because, again, she does think about things holistically. And what is the life that you want? How are you building the business and the revenue around the life you want, as opposed to building your life around your business, right? I really love that. So I've done this since 2017, so I've done it a lot, and I am in her mastermind and in her coaching program, so I know Amber pretty well. And, you know, you always hear what you need to hear when you need to hear it. And so we were in a session, and she said, okay, well, you've got your plan. You know what your goal is, right? You know where you're headed. I still haven't quite figured that out just yet, but I'm close. But you know kind of this is the goal that you want. There are 100 ways that you can hit that goal, right? Let's just say it's a revenue goal. There's so many different ways that you can hit that revenue goal based off of the way you break up the projects that you're working on, the jobs you take, XYZ, whatever that might be. But how you do that is you can come up with so many different things. And so she said, now that you have your plan, what are you committed to doing? What are you committed to doing? Because it's easy to say, oh yeah, I'm going to create a YouTube channel, and I'm going to create all these videos, and I'm going to do a podcast, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be on all the social media channels, and I'm going to start doing TikTok. But will you do it? And it's twofold, right? It's skills, budget, time, but it's also energy. Like, you know, she shared the example, and this is the same. She'll say, oh, I'm going to do more video. For the last few years, I'm going to do more video. But she doesn't do it. And it's not because she doesn't know how. It's not because she doesn't have the team to support her. It's not because she doesn't have the budget to make it happen. It's that for her, it's not something that excites her and lights her up in that regard. So instead of doing it because you should, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm shoulding in air quotes, it's, okay, well, if I know that that's something that's going to help me get to my goal, but I know I'm actually not going to do it, then I'm hurting myself, versus doing a different strategy that I'm going to be much more excited about, that I can be much more consistent with, that I can test, and then we can go from there. And so it was just what I needed to hear in the moment, because I say to my clients all the time, do as I say, not as I do, because, again, I know a lot of the strategies, but there's a lot of things that I just won't do. Not because I don't know how, just when I sit down to try to think about it, it's like too much. So I'm going to focus my efforts on something else. So I love it because it's what are you committed to doing? And the other piece that I love about this is, you know, as we kind of come up with a plan for how we want our lives to look, you know, how many hours am I working? So for example, when my kids are in school, by 2:30, I'm starting pickup. And we moved a little bit farther away from the school, so my pickup, which used to be a total of like maybe 45 minutes, is now, well, that's a lie, maybe closer to an hour, is now 2 hours because of the back and forth and the way the kids' schedules work. We're also out of district, so they can't ride the bus, all of the things. So by 2 o'clock or 2:30, I need to be wrapped up. And by 4:15, I'm home. And I'm done working. It's time to start dinner. It's time to get things moving. It's time to, you know, spend some time with the kids, whatever. You know, my husband is typically off work around 4:30, 5 o'clock. So, you know, we're just kind of winding down. Plus, I know my brain just doesn't work well in the afternoons. So what does that look like then? How do I get my stuff done? Because working more doesn't necessarily mean you're getting more done. So I'm really trying to think about all of the things that I've committed to, and are they actually getting me to where I want to be personally and professionally and within the time frames and the priorities that I've set? Like, what are my non-negotiables? And then I can get really specific. So for example, one of the things that we're considering is I have this podcast. When we brought it back, we decided to bring it back every other week because I love doing it, but that's just too much to do a weekly episode. I am on like episode 280 2 or 283 of the Digital Marketing Therapy podcast, which I've been doing for years. And we've changed it up a few times. We've done 2 episodes where we've done an interview one week and then a quick fast fact Friday, one Friday. So they're just short episodes. We've gone to just doing 1 episode. We're toying with the idea of doing 2 episodes every other week on that podcast also. Because what we know is we're still going to be able to give that impact and make things happen. But we have so much content that's out there that we can repurpose. And so how can we kind of adjust and change? That's going to change my workload. That's going to change, my ability to potentially invest that money somewhere else for a different goal, right? All of the things we can kind of navigate. And there's a lot of work that goes into putting these podcasts together, the editing, the show notes, the promotion. And to be quite honest, it's the back end that we're not doing that great on. It's the promotion and the execution and getting the content out there for people to hear that we're not doing that great at. So when we think about what are we committed to, my commitments aren't changing as far as like me wanting to show up for my audience, but now I can kind of free up that space. So same if you think about your personal life, something that I always have on my list is spend more time with my kids, spend more time with my husband. Great. But when I really sit down and say, okay, well, what does that look like? And what am I committed to? If my husband and I say, okay, well, we're committed to a weekly date night. Okay. And I also want to make sure that I'm spending one-on-one time with my kids each week. Okay. So now that's, maybe 2 or 3 nights a week that we've already gotten blocked off. And I know that I can only work between the hours of, it's kind of all over the place because I get up early and work before we start getting the kids ready for school. But I know I have limited hours during the day. So it's, am I willing to work weekends to fill in for that? Is that going to, so when you start to put all these things together, now I can start to see all my commitments and I can go, wait a minute. These are all the things that I've said are important. These are all the things that I care about. These are the things that I said I'm committed to in order to hit these goals. That's too much. I can't do that. Or there's some space maybe for me to fill in a couple things, time with my girlfriends, or maybe I switch some things to monthly, whatever. But then you can start to kind of map it all out. And that's what I'm excited about doing right now is really kind of taking holistically, what is it that I'm trying to get done? And then will that still drive the revenue that I need from my business, from Color Street? Is there a way that we can start to monetize this podcast or the blog, right? All of those things are kind of coming into play. But it's been a long time since I have really taken a look at my businesses as a cohesive thing, right? We're making some big changes to another platform that I have called Nonprofit Bootcamp, which I partner with someone on. So we're working on making some adjustments there as well. So what does that look like? And you might be in a season where you're like, you know what? I have to work more right now because I know I'm building something. And we're going to get this to this next step. And then I'll be able to scale it back once I hit this goal. Or you might be in a season where you're like, things are great. My job is perfect. I'm exactly where I want to be. I'm very satisfied and happy with that. And now I want to put some more effort and commitment into this other part of my life that I have not been nurturing. So that's where I'm at. Long story short, I don't know yet what our whole picture is going to look like, but I'm excited about it because it was just that one sentence, what are you committed to, which can bring you back to your goals and your plans and really help you identify what you'll do. And I'm hoping, that for you, it will make you feel more successful in your life overall in whatever area you choose to implement this in, because you're going to be doing the things that you enjoy. And cutting out the things that maybe don't quite make sense, right? Maybe it's, this thing is bringing me money or helping support me, but I don't love doing it. So if I don't do that thing, but I do this thing, then I can bring in an additional revenue stream, and maybe I can hire somebody or a VA or a virtual assistant or somebody that can come in and help with that part of it, right? So that I don't have to do that. I can focus on this other thing, which I'm much better at, which then I can increase that revenue stream, or I can work towards that job promotion over here. If I work with my team and say, hey, only I can do this, is there somebody on the team that can help me pull this together? You never know. There might be somebody that's like, oh my gosh, I love that. Like we have a client who in their CRM, the person who's helping manage the CRM and the grant reporting loves creating reports and data and all of that. Like, she's perfect for it. They're beautiful. They're great. They're fantastic. Right? That is not me. That is not my best at skill. So I'm not gonna be the one that raises my hand and says, yeah, please, can I help you write a report? So you never know. There's people around you that might be like, yeah, I would totally take that on. Like, that's my jam. That's the way my brain works. I love that. And then now you're able to move into the commitments that are where your zone of genius is. So it's kind of like that whole big thing. So long-winded way of saying, what are you committed to in 2025? Really think about it and write it down, and make sure that you have capacity in your work life, in your home life, in your personal life with yourself, that you're putting in and committing to the things that you care about. That's my soapbox. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I will never be on the TED Talk stage because that's terrifying to me. But something I really want you to think about. And then the next piece for me, where I'm really trying to kind of pull it together and figure it out, is really how I am going to navigate showing up. So once I know what I'm committed to, I tell, like I said earlier, do as I say, not as I do is kind of how I operate. I am very much somebody who is not comfortable or loves to like put my face out there, which I know is weird because I'm here doing these podcasts all the time. But when it comes to like social media posts and like really just showing up in stories and like, potentially going on TikTok, that's where I kind of get nervous. When I decide to show up as myself in the language, which is why I like doing the interviews so much more, I think, because it's more about them. I love having interviews with people. It's more about them, pulling out their stories, having those kinds of conversations. So I'm really trying to figure out, like, who am I? Because I think as women, as moms, we wrap up our identities in those around us. And I'm somebody who has always been in a relationship. And so I'm starting to realize that, like, I've always had kind of my identity attached to someone else. Not that they're controlling me or anything, not a negative, but just something that has always been a part of me. And then I had kids, and then my identity is being a mom. And so when I think about who am I really, what is my personality, how do I show up, it's terrifying because I might start showing up on social media and being more myself, and you may be like, oh, that is not who I thought she was, and she is obnoxious, I don't agree with her views on anything, I can't believe, whatever. And I need to let that go because, like I tell my clients, our customers will find us, our people will find us, our listeners will find us because they connect with us and not because we're trying to sell them something, right? And so I'm really pushing myself to not use as many stock photos, to start taking more photos, to start engaging, to start having fun, to start really showing how and why I created these businesses and why I care about them so much. Why did I choose Color Street? Why did it turn into a blog? Why did it turn into a podcast? Why do I love these stories? Who are these stories about? How can I connect with more people and share more people's stories? And so this is where I say you're going to hold me accountable. I'm, working on really figuring out what those categories are and what do I care about and what do I want to talk about. I love travel, even though I don't get to do it as much. I love to cook. I am learning more about beauty and skincare and makeup and actually having fun with it. It's a way that I can connect with my daughter now. So for her opening night of her show that she just did, she helped me do my makeup. She said, Mom, do you want me to do it like I wear my makeup or like you? I was like, okay, like I'm not a 15-year-old, so let's keep it together. But it's just, finding joy in the things that we do and then letting that joy come through. And, letting go the fear of, well, people will think I'm fake. People will think, like, who does she think she is? She's not a beauty influencer. This I know. People will, make fun of her because I'm literally always in sweats. I never go anywhere. I'm not a fashionista, even when I was going out all the time, whatever. But you know what? It's okay because I'm not trying to be those things. But like I play all these things in my head of people are going to judge me. And instead, people will judge me. Doesn't matter. I need to let it go. So showing up authentically and being more myself online is something that is a goal for me in 2025, something I'm committed to and something that I'm working on just kind of sorting out what that looks like. because it does give me a little bit of anxiety, and that's okay. And I'm letting go of the fear that people won't like me and letting go of the fear that people will back away from me. I think the cancel culture piece is just, but it is what it is, and I'm going to do me, and I hope that you do the same. Even if you're not like doing a huge thing on social media, even if that's not part of your business, I think just feeling more comfortable in your skin and showing up as you in general is just going to attract all of the right people. I know I said I'm not going to get political, and I'm not, but it's the thing that is tricky right now is how divided people are and how judgmental we are all being about what has just happened, and not understanding or feeling, or I shouldn't say not understanding, but understanding that kindness still matters, and whether we agree with people or not, we need to be kind to others. And the best way to increase kindness and to bring people together is to model that. And so that's one of the things that I really want to do is show kindness, show caring, show that we are more alike than we are different, and that we can come together and have honest conversations and be nice to each other. And that's how we're going to solve things, move through things, actually create politics that is more inclusive and not exclusive. And it's going to take all of us working together to do that. So that is me starting to step into showing up for you. I am still going to be doing this podcast. I'm very excited about it and looking for more wonderful people to interview. So if there's somebody that inspires you or that you love, let me know. I would love to reach out to them and have them as a guest on the show. I'm still going to be having the blog on Easy Style with Sami, and I would love your topics. We've covered so many things from communication to beauty to recipes to business to direct sales, all the things, and we can talk about it all. So whatever's going to help you and support you, I want to know about it, so we can create some content around it. And I'll still be here running my business for nonprofits and helping support them in their donor outreach and growth. But I love it all. So I'm working on my commitments. I'm working on my boundaries. I'm working on letting go and being vulnerable and being myself. And my daughter is going to yell at me for all the pictures that I take because she hates them all. So she's going to teach me how to use my phone better. I don't know. I've never been good at taking pictures. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about where things are going. I'm excited about kind of how we're growing and evolving, and how I hope this podcast, not just this episode, but all of the other episodes, inspire you to take that scary step and do something that you've never done before. So with that, I hope that you will subscribe wherever you listen. Like I said, episodes come out every other Thursday. You can find resources and additional information for this episode at easystylewithsami.com/32. And I hope that you will share with me either on social media or email me, sami@easystylewithsami.com. That's SAMI. Love to know what you're committed to for 2025, and how you plan on upholding those commitments to yourself, because you are the most important person in your life. Okay, I love you so much. Thank you much. Thank you much. Oh my goodness. Feels like a Monday, but it is a Tuesday, and I appreciate you, and thank you for listening, and share this with a friend who might need a gentle nudge on what they're going to commit to in 2025. See you in the next one.